I ranked 5 things a self-driving car must see by how often it kills. Number 1 is the one Tesla stopped seeing, a stopped truck. Brake time equals 0. 6 is slash it kept hitting them after deleting the radar that saw them. This wasn't one freak accident. Investigators documented repeated crashes into stopped fire trucks and parked emergency vehicles at highway speed, some fatal. Here's the paradox. Brake time equals 0. 6 is slash Tesla removed the one sensor whose entire job was seeing what the cameras missed. And crashing into stopped objects is the direct symptom. One design trade-off, one deadly failure mode. Start with the problem itself. A driver-assist system spends most of its time tracking things that move. The car ahead has a speed and a direction. Match it, follow it, brake when it brakes. Motion is easy to lock onto. Now the hard case. A truck stopped dead across your lane isn't moving relative to the road at all. It just sits there the same as a bridge, a road sign, a parked car on the shoulder. Think about how much of your world is stationary and harmless. The system has to answer one question at 70 miles an hour. Is that thing a wall I must stop for or background I should ignore? Get it wrong the safe way, and the car slams the brakes for every overpass. Get it wrong the deadly way, and it drives straight into a real obstacle. That is the stopped object problem. It is the single hardest call in the whole job, because the truck that kills you looks to the sensors almost identical to the sign you pass 1,000 times. But how does a car even attempt to tell them apart? The answer used to start with one specific sensor. That sensor was radar. Here's how radar sees a stopped truck. It fires radio waves and listens for the echo. From the echo, it reads 2 things directly: how far away something is and how fast the gap is closing. No guessing. A big slab of metal like a trailer bounces back a strong, unmistakable echo. On paper, perfect for spotting a truck. So why didn't it save everyone? Because radar has a blind spot of its own, and it's a nasty one. Radar is great at range but poor at shape. To radar, a stopped truck, an overhead sign, a bridge, and a guardrail all look like the same thing. A strong echo that isn't moving. It can't easily tell the deadly wall from the harmless overpass you drive under every day. Now sit with the engineer's dilemma. If you tell the car to brake for every strong stationary echo, it stamps the brakes under every bridge on the freeway. Nobody would tolerate that. So the fix was brutal and logical. Teach the system to ignore stationary radar echoes. Which means the very tuning that stopped false alarms also taught the car to look past the one real stopped truck that mattered. Radar could see the truck. It was told not to trust it. So the obvious next move seems clear: add a sensor that reads shape. And that is exactly the door Tesla walked through. In 2021, Tesla did something bold. It ripped radar out entirely and went camera only, a system it named Tesla Vision. The bet, cameras plus a neural network can read the road better than radar ever could, because cameras see shape and color, not just echoes. And in good light, that's often true. But now picture the exact scene the title warns about. A white truck stands broadside across the lane. Behind it, a bright, washed-out sky. A camera works by contrast, by edges between light and dark. A pale trailer against pale sky has almost no edge at all. It nearly disappears. Worse, a single camera has no direct way to measure distance. Radar reads range straight from the echo. A camera infers depth from clues: size, motion, perspective, the way your own eyes do. Against a flat, bright sky, those clues thin out. So the system faces a wall it can barely see and can't reliably range. Its neural network has to decide from a low-contrast smear of pixels whether that's a solid truck or empty sky. Sometimes it decides wrong or decides too late to brake in time. That's the blind spot in the title, and it's baked into how cameras work. But here's the part that turns a hard problem into a fatal one. Tesla didn't just choose cameras. It threw the other sensor away. Here's where the trade-off turns deadly. Radar was flawed, yes, but radar failed in completely different situations than cameras do. Radar didn't care about light or color or contrast. Bright sky, dark night, white truck, black truck. It read the same strong echo and the same closing distance every time. The camera's worst case, that washed-out pale wall, was radar's easy case. This is the whole point of using 2 sensors. Engineers call it sensor fusion, and the idea is simple. Put together 2 sensors that fail in different ways, and where one goes blind, the other still sees. Radar covers the camera's bright sky blind spot. The camera covers radar's can't tell shape's weakness. Run them together and a stopped truck has to fool both at once, which is far harder than fooling either alone. Now watch what removing radar actually did. It didn't just subtract one sensor. It collapsed 2 independent failure modes into one. Before, the truck had to beat the camera and the radar. After, it only had to beat the camera. And the camera's single worst scenario, a pale broadside truck against a bright sky, became the whole car's single worst scenario, with nothing standing behind it. The backstop was gone. So what happens when the only eye you have left is the one that goes blind at exactly the wrong moment? Now the title clicks together. Brake time equals 0, 6 is /0 radar, 1 blind spot. A camera-only car has exactly one way to know a stopped truck is really there. It has to see it. There's no second sensor to say, my numbers show a solid object dead ahead, brake now. When the camera loses that pale trailer in a bright sky, nothing behind it disagrees. Silence reads as clear road. That is why the crashes clustered where they did. Stopped trucks across lanes, parked fire engines with lights blazing, emergency vehicles at rest. Every one of them a stationary object that a camera can misread, and that radar, the deleted sensor, could have flagged by range alone. This wasn't bad luck. It was the direct, traceable symptom of one decision to remove the backstop. And the hardest truth is this: radar never fully solved the stopped object problem either. Remember, it was tuned to ignore those very echoes. Removing radar didn't fail because radar was perfect. It failed because radar was the only thing catching what the camera missed. One trade-off, one failure mode. Delete the sensor that measured distance in any light, and a stopped truck against a bright sky becomes a wall the car can't reliably see. The open question is whether cameras and smarter software can ever fully close that gap alone, or whether the backstop has to come back. That's the next teardown.